Dhawan will be joining us soon. I would request all of you to please keep your phones on silent.
Good to see you. Welcome. Good to see you. Please come.
This year.
Ha, that is true. That is true. What am I being
Too busy. A very good morning to one and all. On behalf of the Energy and Resources Institute, I extend a very warm welcome to members of the media, distinguished guests, and colleagues to the pre-event press conference for the World Sustainable Development Summit 2026. WSDS 2026 marks a very special milestone, the Silver Jubilee edition of the summit, and comes at a crucial moment as the global community moves decisively from commitments to implementation, transformation, and action. To formally open the press conference, it is my privilege to invite Dr. Vibha Dhawan, Director General TERI, to deliver the welcome address. Dr. Dhawan has been at the forefront of advancing evidence-based policy, sustainability transitions, and global partnerships, and her leadership continues to shape TERI's vision and impact. May I request Dr. Dhawan to kindly address the gathering.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And good morning and warm welcome to all the media representatives. And I'll welcome you. I know it's a little not too pleasant day. It's a little foggy, but I'll say that international news are quite positive the way we are moving. We all are very delighted to have you here for the curtain raiser press conference for the Silver Jubilee edition of our yearly event, World Sustainable Development Summit. As Ipshita mentioned, it's a very special edition as we are completing 25 years of our extraordinary journey that began in the year 2001 as Delhi Sustainable Development Summit and evolved into the World Sustainable Development Summit, reflecting both the growing ambition of the global sustainability agenda and the expanding role of the Global South in shaping it. As we gather here between 25th to 27th of February 2026, I'm filled with both pride and purpose. Pride in the milestones WSDS has achieved over the past 25 years, and purpose in what still lies ahead for sustainable development and climate action. Over these 25 years, WSDS has consistently anticipated and shaped global sustainability conversations from poverty eradication and livelihoods to climate equity, sustainable energy transition, and implementation of the SDGs and the Paris Agreement. 25 years ago, TERI envisioned a platform rooted in the Global South that could convene the world to deliberate, debate, and decisively act on sustainability. World Sustainable Development Summit serves as a science policy interface and a platform for evidence-based dialogue and multi-stakeholder engagement. From serving as a key preparatory forum ahead of landmark global moments such as the World Summit on Sustainable Development, Rio+20, the adaptation of SDGs, COPs, WSDS has evolved into a trusted global convening space where ideas translate into policy influence and real-world action. I'm proud to share with you that WSDS has aimed to provide long-term solutions for the benefit of global community. Today, WSDS stands as the only independently convened summit on sustainable development that is based in Global South, and that brings policymakers, scientists, industry leaders, civil society, youth, and multilateral institutions. Over 25 editions, the summit has hosted heads of states of various governments, UN Secretary General, Nobel laureates, global CEOs, and thought leaders, while also amplifying voices from vulnerable regions, youth, and grassroots innovators. The multi-stone edition is therefore not only a moment of reflection, but a call for renewal and resolve. The theme for this year is Parivartan, that is transformation, vision, voices, and values for sustainable development, which is firmly anchored in implementation and transformation. At its core, the umbrella theme aims to integrate forward-thinking strategies, that is vision, participatory and collaborative engagement, that is voices, and deep-rooted principles, that is the values. The theme reflects the very hour of WSDS 25 years journey from vision setting to inclusive dialogue and now to accelerate action and measurable outcomes. Over 3 days, the summit will deliberate on transformations for and through nature, green manufacturing and trade, future technologies, multilateral cooperation, climate finance, and clean energy solutions. And of course, Shailly will be talking more about it, each session, how we have planned, and the speakers, the excellent speakers that we are going to have in each of the sessions. The deliberations will serve as solution-oriented pathways connecting policy with practice, finance with outcomes, and innovation with impact. This solution-driven structure builds on WSDS legacy of moving global conversations beyond declarations towards partnerships, policy alignment, and implementation on the ground. The structure of WSDS 2026 with its thematic tracks, high-level plenaries, and leadership dialogues reflects its intent to move from commitments to concrete, measurable action. The special feature this year include the CEO Forum for Industry Representatives, TerraZone, which is an innovation showcase zone, and Him Connect, the Himalayan Innovation Mela, supporting ideas and projects within the Himalayan region. And many of you must be aware that this was an initiative which is continuing from Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. We will also be launching a pocketbook which in a way reflects our 25 editions of the summit journey in terms of themes covered along with announcements and contribution to global discourse. These platforms echo WSDS' long-standing emphasis on industry leadership, regional innovations and solutions emerging from the Global South. As we meet just a few days after the union budget was presented, there is renewed expectation that fiscal policy will continue to reinforce India's green transition. The budget has increasingly reflected a strong commitment to sustainable development through support for clean energy, green manufacturing, climate resilient infrastructure, innovations, and green finance, thereby sending a clear signal that economic growth and environmental responsibility must advance together. And that's where I'll say that India is unique, because if we look at the fastest growing economies, we are one of them. We are talking of 2/3 of the infrastructure is yet to be built, and therefore we have opportunity to build it as green as possible. And show the way to the world. And during the summit also, some of these things will be reflected, it will be discussed. It will also be what experience we can learn from other countries also. This year is also special because India's BRICS Chairship 2026, guided by humanity first and people-centric approach, aligns closely with WSDS core objective of delivering long-term solutions for the benefit of global community. Over years, WSDS has consistently complemented multilateral processes, feeding scientific insights, policy ideas, and global South perspectives into forums such as UNFCCC, G20, BRICS, and the SDG architecture. This landmark edition of WSDS would support BRICS deliberations by translating scientific insights and best practices into actionable policy frameworks that address shared global challenges and advance pathways to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. In this context, WSDS 2026 is about charting the pathways for transformation and action, turning lessons into strategies and strategies into outcomes. If we remind ourselves, there are three major learnings from COP30, acknowledged as the COP of implementation, which resonate deeply with the ethos of WSDS. First, implementation must be nationally anchored and locally delivered. Second, finance is the fulcrum of transformation. And third, collaboration is no longer optional. We have to go for collaborations. And these principles have underpinned WSDS since its inception, long before implementation became the dominant global narrative. WSDS 2026 provides a platform where voices from the global South are not only heard, but they shape the global narrative. This Silver Jubilee edition is further strengthened by the presence of an exceptional group of global leaders and practitioners whose work is shaping the sustainability agenda worldwide. The various sessions will bring together visionary leadership, including the Honorable Minister of Forest and Climate Change, Government of India, Shri Bhupinder Singh Yadav ji, Mr. Amitabh Kant, Mr. Ashish Khanna from ISA, Ash Pachauri, Mr. Tom Rivet Karnek, and so on. And of course, our own chairman, Mr. Nitin Desai. Over the course of its 25 years journey, WSDS has hosted eminent voices such as Simon Still, Professor Hoisung Lee, Dr. Vera Songvi, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, Dr. Pema Gametsu, Ms. Dia Mirza, and senior leaders from the World Bank, ADB, UNEP, and other multilateral institutions, creating continuity, credibility, and cumulative impact. Leaders from industry, technology, finance, and civil society will share actionable insights drawn from real-world implementation. Their collective presence reinforces WSDS 2026 as a platform where policy, science, finance, and practice converge. As we celebrate 25 years of WSDS, the summit aims to highlight India's leadership in energy transition, achievement of its NDC targets, and to raise ambition across India and the Global South. In June 2025, India achieved 50% of cumulative installed electricity capacity from non-fossil fuel sources, which is 5 years ahead of its 2030 NDC target. And this achievement reflects the kind of transformational progress that WSDS has consistently championed, evidence-based, inclusive, and aligned with the development priorities. I invite all participants to engage openly, challenge conventional thinking, and co-create pathways that are ambitious yet achievable. Let's ensure that the outcome of WSDS 2026 contribute meaningfully to accelerating the SDGs, strengthening climate resilience, and supporting India as it prepares to host the BRICS Summit in 2026. The world stands at a decisive moment. The choices we make today will define the future of people and planet for generations to come. Let's celebrate 2026, marking 25 years of sustained global engagement, and WSDS be remembered as the moment where transformation gathered momentum and action found direction. So thank you very much for being with us, and I look forward to fruitful discussion in this session. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dhawan, for setting the context for WSDS 2026 and your inspiring opening remarks. Our next distinguished speaker is Ms. Leena Nandan, Distinguished Fellow, TERI, and former Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India. Ms. Nandan has played a pivotal role in shaping India's environmental governance and policy frameworks, and we are delighted to have her perspective as we look ahead to WSDS 2026. May I invite Ms. Nandan to kindly address the gathering.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon to all participants, to my colleagues from TERI. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I think the power of this Silver Jubilee edition of the World Sustainability Development Summit is the power of imagination, innovation, and inspiration. And that is what is reflected in the fact that TERI has been a trailblazer in terms of talking about resources, natural resources, much ahead of the time across the rest of the world, and has flagged the issue of sustainability 25 years ago, leading us to this very momentous Silver Jubilee edition of the summit. The concept of vision and values actually is nothing but the power of the voices that can make this transformation happen. Today, as we stand at this very critical moment in time, when the Earth's future is something that is becoming increasingly a matter of concern, what we need to talk about is not just the problems, but the solutions, and solutions that can come from us, from the power of the people to bring these solutions to the table. But what happens to these innovations? What happens to these good ideas and best practices if we do not scale them up from simply proof of concept, from pilot stage, into actually mainstreaming them into our economic activities, into the way that finances will flow? And that is the pathway that TERI has chosen for this edition of the Sustainability Summit. Because as the structure of the sessions that the DG just enumerated, that structure very clearly indicates this is all about not just transformations through nature, it's about future technology, it is about green manufacturing, it is about the finance flows, about how multilateralism can be brought to bear to actually bring to fruition all the ideas and the concepts that are out there in the public domain, that are out there at the global level, but which are not being harnessed to really bring out the kind of power that they have to transform today's struggle to bring about climate neutrality into tomorrow's success. And the immediate issue before all of us is the need for positivity, for hope, for belief that things can change and will change. And we are the people who can make this happen. Therefore, the voices that are going to be brought to bear in the discussions, the solutions that are going to emerge, the Him Connect that was spoken about, that is in fact one of the very less spoken about but very powerful mediums of change that will be there for all of us to see at the time of the summit. Him Connect is nothing but innovations that are actually the outcome of research innovations in the Himalayan region, and that can actually change the way that our springs are harvested, that the way we do our agriculture production, the way that we package our goods, and the way that consumers change their demands and choices for these eco-friendly products. So all of this and more is what is going to happen. There is going to be a matchmaking session, very interesting concept, but for the first time, this kind of collaboration between startups and innovative ideas that have actually reached a certain level of the TRL readiness, that is going to happen in this summit. So there will be so much new and so much which is beyond just discussions in the sessions and discussions and collaborations that are forged as an outcome of all these sessions that you will see as a very concrete outcome of this summit. The importance that TERI actually brings to the dialogue is not just this kind of a summit that it has steered so successfully for the past 25 years. It's also TERI's own contribution to the entire narrative of sustainability. So today we are talking about a situation where an excellent project on decarbonizing the steel industry has been released earlier on, later last month. There is also the whole set of innovations that TERI has done on bioenergy. A lot of innovations that have been happening in the area of agriculture and farmers' cultivations. All these are going to be discussed, enumerated, and hopefully good networks that are going to be forged and discussed into a very concrete and positive outcome. So this edition of the World Sustainability Summit, ladies and gentlemen, promises something new, something that has yet to be discussed and that can only be envisaged. And as we come closer to it, as we actually find ourselves looking at the exhibition, looking at the multifarious innovations that have been powered by the imagination and the ideas that are so intrinsic to India and that are so needing to be brought to the mainstream. I think there is a lot that will forge the way the world develops, forge the way that South-South collaboration happens, and how the world is going to look at India as a leader in the whole arena of sustainability. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nandan, for filling us with that kind of optimism and sharing your valuable perspectives.
So good.
We will now have a brief presentation outlining the vision, themes, and key highlights of the World Sustainable Development Summit 2026. I invite Dr. Shailly Kedia, Director TERI and Curator WSDS, to make the presentation. Dr. Kedia leads the conceptualization and curation of WSDS and will walk us through what participants and stakeholders can expect from the Silver Jubilee edition of the summit. Over to you, Dr. Kedia.
A very good afternoon to all of you, and thank you so much for being here. I would like to extend my own warm welcome to all of you. I hope I'm audible. Yeah, thank you. So this is just a brief presentation to walk you through what we have in store for this edition of the summit. But as was highlighted by Dr. Dhawan and Ms. Leena Nandan, it's a very special edition for TERI because it marks the Silver Jubilee edition. It's the 25th edition that we are celebrating. Yeah. So I would like to start by acknowledging our International Steering Committee. Two of our International Steering Committee members are also here, three of them by the dais, including Dr. Dhawan. And the summit activities and the main sessions of the summit are actually shaped by the topics suggested by these global figures, ranging from industry to diplomats, to philanthropists, to think tank leaders, and to corporate voices. About the summit, this was already highlighted, that it is the only independently convened multi-stakeholder platform, and we work on the lines of serving as a science policy interface, considering that TERI is a research institute. And the summit is designed to serve as a platform to pioneer conversation that drive global ambition and action at all levels. exchange knowledge, ideas, and good practices, and all this contributing to the sustainable development goals in the Paris Agreement. So the cumulative statistics of the summit is that we've had 59 heads of state and government participate in various editions of the summit. 149 ministers, 13 Nobel laureate, over 2,100 business leaders, over 3,700 speakers, and over 41,000 delegates. So this is just like, reflecting on what the Honorable Prime Minister has said about WSDS, is that it has catalyzed collective action by bringing together, of course, various stakeholders to address one of the most urgent challenges of the time. And here, of course, he's referring to as climate change. And he has been invited for the summit. We are, of course, waiting confirmation from his office. But considering it's a Silver Jubilee edition, as was mentioned by Dr. Dhawan, and is that we are in a very reflective stage also. The first edition was held in 2001, just ahead of the Johannesburg Earth Summit, and just before the COP, which India hosted in Delhi. And, we've had various announcements over the previous summit editions. This is listed here, but it will all be detailed out in the pocketbook, which we'll be launching. So just a glimpse of the heads of state and government, both serving and former heads of state and government who participated in various editions of the summit till the last edition, along with the Nobel laureates. This is just to give you a quick statistical overview of the previous edition of WSDS, which concluded in March 25. We had over 1,500 in-person delegates. And one very good highlight of the previous edition summit was that we had 48%, almost 50% women leaders speak at the summit. We had 40 sessions, including plenaries and thematic tracks, 361 speakers, 12 of them of ministerial rank, 29 partners, and more than 100 representatives from the business and industry who voiced. And of course, we had media amplifying various perspectives from the summit. Now, this is a Silver Jubilee edition. The theme was already highlighted. Previously, we are focusing on Parivartan because what we need, considering the large-scale crisis that we are facing, is transformation and non-incremental steps. Through vision, but not abruptly, through vision, voices, and values for sustainable development. And that's inspired the theme of this summit. Considering the overwhelming response we got in the previous edition of the summit, we have decided to scale up the summit and host it in a larger venue other than India Habitat Center. And then, hence, we are having it in Taj Palace in New Delhi. Coming to the structure of the summit, the first day we have thematic tracks followed by the inaugural. Then we have 4 plenaries in the second day, but we also have launch of LABL 2.0. I'll come to the announcements later on. We'll be also launching Himalaya Coalition. We'll be having the HimConnect exposition in Terra Zone, and we'll be interspersing this in fireside chats. The plenaries focus on nature, on green manufacturing and trade, future tech, multilateralism. Then we launch a grassroots initiative called Lighting a Billion Lives 2.0, climate finance, accelerating clean energy solutions, and of course then followed by valedictory. The special features, Terra Zone, this will be an exposition zone which will also have HimConnect, which is a flagship exhibition area by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. We'll have plenaries, we'll have fireside chats, and we'll have thematic tracks. So some of the flagship initiatives, the new ones which we are planning for this edition of the summit, the first one being HimConnect. And this essentially is a showcase of select projects that have shown a certain promise in the Himalayan region, ranging from something like, such as a model for predicting landslides to using pine needles to manufacture biomass power. Then we have the Act for Earth Manifesto. This has been the feature since the 21st edition, where we summarize the key outcomes of the summit in the valedictory session. We have launch of Lighting a Billion Lives 2.0, which is the flagship initiative of TERI, which will be launching in the second day. And we'll have a launch of the Himalayan Coalition. It is also building on the recent flagship work of TERI's Center for Himalayan Studies. So this is just to give you a snapshot, of key speakers. that what expected. So one is in the category of vision through and for India. We have Minister Yadav. We have, of course, invited the Prime Minister. We're expecting the Chief Minister of Goa, the Secretary of Environment Ministry, Mr. Ashish Khanna, Mr. Amit Prothi, two of the important multilateral organizations housed within India. Mr. Amitabh Kant, Dia Mirza, and Ms. Supriya Sahu. Also from international organizations, we are expecting the head of UN Habitat. We are expecting the regional director of UNEP, Ms. Patricia Fuller, who is the president and CEO of International Institute for Sustainable Development, Dr. Pema Gyamacho, the head of ICIMOD, a mountain-based international intergovernmental organization, Mr. Indramani Pandey, who's heading BIMSTEC, Ambassador Matthias Runge, who's the climate ambassador and the head of delegation to the UNFCCC from Sweden. Global influencers like Dr. Tom Rivet, who is the founder of Global Optimism. Ms. Frog Rosa, who heads the New Climate Institute. For adaptation finance, we have Ms. Catherine, who's executive director of Health Diplomacy Alliance. In the corporate leader, we have the CEO of Stacks Engineering. A lot of them are really winners of Time 100 Global Influencers Award on climate. We have Mr. Bob McKeefe, Executive Director of E2, Mr. Amit Paritoshi, CEO of Hero Future Energies, Mr. Sri Vatsan Iyer, Ms. Katie McGinty, and Mr. Naveen Elawat. So we have corporate leaders and many more who are going to be there. For the Voices of Science, we are expecting Professor Hossein Lee, Dr. Kira Winke, Dr. Vera Songwe. Then, we have other global leaders who have focused on global governance as well as industry transitions who will be there. Professor Anand Patwardhan, a leading voice on climate adaptation, including the global goal and adaptation. So this is just a sneak peek. We are working, of course, on the event management side, but what to expect, the plenaries will be held in Darbar Hall of Taj Palace. And this is just a sneak peek of the exhibition area. And stay tuned. We have a website, so feel free to visit. We'll be updating information. Thank you.
Congratulations, Shailly. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Kedia, for that comprehensive overview of WSDS 2026. We now move on to another special address. It is my honor to invite Ambassador Manjeev Singh Puri, Distinguished Fellow TERI and former diplomat with the Government of India. Ambassador Puri brings with him rich experience in multilateral diplomacy and climate negotiations, and his insights are invaluable as the world navigates the pathways from global agreements to national and regional action. May I now request Ambassador Puri to kindly share his remarks.
Can I use the podium?
Surely,
sir. Yeah, let's have some fun. So guys, welcome and आप सब लोग आए बहुत धन्यवाद. Thank you very much. Let me add my voice to that of the Honorable Director General as well as the former Secretary, Ms. Leena, Nandan, and Shailly, to welcome you all to TERI. Sanjay, thank you also for anchoring all of this. I want to tell you something about myself and then tell you a little bit about this. I've been associated with this event and this organization for more than 20 years. That's more than what many other people can say, by the way. So ये 25वीं सालगिरह, मुझे भी लगता कि यार कुछ ना कुछ हमने achieve किया. I want to draw your attention to one or two other things. Madam Director General made a very wonderful reference. और ये चीज याद रखिएगा जो मैं अभी कहने वाला हूँ. Why? Earlier it used to be called the Delhi Sustainable Development Summit और अब हम इसको World Sustainable Development Summit कहते हैं. क्यों ये शुरू की गई? तो आपको थोड़ा सा मैं बैकग्राउंड दूं. ये जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है टेरी, ये आप 51 वर्ष, is that right, ma'am? 51 years old. आप लोग समझ सकते हैं कि एनवायरनमेंट, क्लाइमेट चेंज और एनर्जी से बात करने वाली इंस्टीट्यूशन ग्लोबल साउथ, और वो भी हमारे यहाँ भारत में 51 ईयर से रहे। ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बड़ी स्पेशल है। इट इज स्पेशल बिकॉज इट हैज अ विजन एंड इट हैज विजनरी लीडर्स जो एंटिसिपेट करते हैं कि क्या होने वाला, और हम उसके लिए किस तरह भारत को रेडी करें, और भारत के साथ साथ हम ग्लोबल साउथ को कैसे रेडी करें। कोई और नहीं करता ग्लोबल साउथ में ऐसी कॉन्फ्रेंस। इस किस्म की कॉन्फ्रेंसेज आपको न्यूयॉर्क में नजर आती हैं, आपको वियना में, जिनीवा में, इधर उधर बड़े बड़े देशों में नजर, क्योंकि हर आदमी जाना चाहता है वहां पर, और कुछ नहीं तो थोड़ा सा टाइम अच्छे सुहावने मौसम में बिता लिया जाए। लेकिन प्रॉब्लम्स कहां पर है? सस्टेनेबिलिटी की प्रॉब्लम कहां है? एनर्जी की प्रॉब्लम कहां है? क्लाइमेट की प्रॉब्लम कहां है? वहां पर भी है, इसमें कोई शक की बात नहीं है, लेकिन उनकी क्षमताएं बहुत हैं। किसको चाहिए? ग्लोबल साउथ को चाहिए। और क्यों हमारी लीडरशिप रही है ऑलवेज इन्वेस्टेड इन दिस? क्यों प्रधानमंत्री मोदी शुरुआत से 2014 से ये रहा है उनका कि भाई हमें कुछ करना है, क्योंकि हम वल्नरेबल हैं, हमें कुछ करना है, और दुनिया क्या हमारे लिए करेगी वो तो हम मांगेंगे, लेकिन हम खुद क्या कर सकते हैं? जिसको कहते हैं ग्लोबल तो आइडिया है, प्रॉब्लम ग्लोबल है, लेकिन हमें जो करना वो तो लोकल है। तो हम लोगों ने यहाँ टेरी में क्या किया? 25 सालों से इस चीज के बारे में दो चीज काम किए। शुरू में बहुत एफर्ट किया गया कि यहाँ हमारे यहाँ भारत में ये आइडिया फैलाया जाए कि भाई प्रॉब्लम है, सिर्फ ग्लोबल प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, लोकल प्रॉब्लम भी है। अंडरस्टैंड दैट देयर इज एन इशू ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज, understand that you need to be sustainable in your action, and that is what we do. And now for the last several years बहुत हमारा एक्शन और ये उस चीज से हट गया कि सिर्फ आप बताते जाइए कि दुनिया में क्या हुआ, कॉप में क्या हुआ, उसकी हम यहाँ निरीक्षण कर रहे हैं, उसका पूरा अध्ययन कर रहे हैं, ये सब ठीक है, वो तो आप लोग भी करते हैं, लेकिन इसका हमारे पे क्या असर है और हम इसका सोल्यूशन क्या निकालें? ये सो ग्लोबल टू लोकल हैज बीन अ वेरी मेजर इशू। और इस बार हमने एक नया प्रयत्न शुरू किया। ये हिम जोन वगैरह ये सब चीजें तो हैं, साथ में भारत के जो कॉरपोरेट्स हैं उनके बिना नहीं चलेगा काम, ये समझ जाइएगा। I know Madam Secretary was sitting there and I have also been like you a civil servant. हम लोग सोचते हैं कि सब कुछ सरकार कर सकती है, भाई सरकार का अपना दायित्व होता है, लेकिन अगर लोग नहीं करेंगे, कॉर्पोरेशन नहीं करेंगे तो होगा नहीं। इसलिए बहुत बड़ा एफर्ट जो है कि कॉर्पोरेट्स को कैसे, जिसको कहते हैं इस चीज को समझो, और ये बहुत चैलेंजिंग टाइम है क्योंकि दुनिया में लोग, कई लोग ये क्वेश्चन कर रहे हैं कि ये करना चाहिए नहीं करना चाहिए, लेकिन करना कैसे नहीं चाहिए? आप मानते हैं कि क्लाइमेट चेंज नहीं हो रहा, आप मानते हैं कि ग्लोबल वार्मिंग नहीं हो रही, ये क्या हो रहा है कि 1 फरवरी को इतनी ज्यादा ठंड है यहाँ पर और सारा महीना दिसंबर जनवरी में कुछ नहीं हुआ, कुछ ना कुछ तो हो रहा है ना, ये तो हम भी समझते हैं। इसलिए व्हाट डू वी हैव टू डू लोकली, और हम क्या कर सकते हैं, हमारी कंपनी क्या कर सकते हैं, हमारे स्टार्टअप क्या कर सकते हैं, हमारे यंग लोग क्या कर सकते हैं, ये हमारा एक, जिसको कहते हैं, पड़ाव है। And it's going to be a great effort on our part that we try to, bring that global for local action. And it's not just adaptation, as people say, but across mitigation, SARA, entire aspect of sustainability. And if I take you back to the Honorable Prime Minister's idea of life, it's lifestyles, it's how you do things, how your companies do things. And that's exactly the kind of message that we want to try and bring to everyone. शैली, आपने बहुत अच्छी दो चीजें कही। एक तो इट्स अ प्लेस दैट अलाउज यू कि जो डूअर्स हैं, सिर्फ ये नहीं कि जो पॉलिसी बनाते हैं और जो नेगोशिएट करते हैं, जो डूअर्स हैं, दे मीट विद साइंस, एंड साइंस हैज ऑलवेज बीन अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एलिमेंट ऑफ व्हाट वी डू। हमारे यहाँ के डीजी साहब होते थे, डॉक्टर पचौरी वाज द प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ द आईपीसीसी. We've been very fortunate having previous heads of the IPCC, and hopefully one of them will be here again, because we want people to understand what is the science telling us, what are the realities. अरे भाई, लोग तो अपना स्वार्थ के लिए बहुत चीजें कहेंगे, लेकिन असलियत क्या है? Because end में you have to meet up with the असलियत. मुझे छोड़िए, आप लोग अपने आप को देखिएगा. You have even that year 2070 for which we have said that net zero India will be 2070. वो भी आपके समय में होने वाला. What are you doing? How are you readying yourself? And how is the ecosystem around yourself readying yourself for it? And that's the crux of what we want to do here. We want to use the 25th anniversary of WSDS to reach to people in India in a very big way and through India to the global south. That, you know, it's you. The vulnerability is yours. And time for negotiation, certainly. You must remain engaged multilateralism. You must seek global collaboration. You must seek global finance. You should do every single thing that you can do for multilateral help and assistance. But frankly, you have no choice in the matter. You start and you need to start acting locally. And India, now by far the largest economy in the global south, and I'm not counting China as a member of the global south. They've reached far ahead of us and everybody else in the world. The largest economy, today the largest country in the world. We have skill sets, we have abilities and capabilities. And if we develop them in India, the rest of the world is willing to take this forward. मैं आपको एक बहुत अच्छा उदाहरण देता हूँ. आप सबने इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस के बारे में सुना. सोलर एनर्जी के बारे में हम लोग पिछले 20-15 साल से लगे हुए हैं इंडिया में. लेकिन why has it become such with a great degree of popularity that countries in the Western world are looking at it as if like competition? Because we were able to lower the cost of producing electric power through solar energy to a level where the rest of the world said, do it. And so a country like India is not just leadership on the podium, but is leadership on the ground. हमारे यहाँ टेरी में एक बहुत बड़ा अभियान चलाया गया था करीब 20 साल से पहले शुरू. Light 1 billion lamps. I think you are having billion lights and you are having a similar one again. You know what it did? Can you imagine? आप एक गांव में है, इंडिया में, अफ्रीका में है, many other parts of the world in Asia. If you don't have bijli in the evening, what is your productivity? How will it go? If you don't have light, where are you going to go? And that's the kind of concepts that we have always pioneered. And this is what we seek to do through this 25th milestone edition. The Taj Palace Hotel is because it's a birthday event. So we're having a big event. But the basic idea is we're turning the focus. Let's get cracking on doing something. It's not just enough to understand, internalize the problem, work towards it, and become doers at doing things. We count on all your support because you matter. आप लोग सिर्फ भारत में बड़े बड़े दिल्ली के देखे हुए चैनल्स उनको छोड़िएगा, लोगों तक जाते हैं, Tier 2, 3 cities. क्या हमारे गांव में प्रॉब्लम नहीं है? ये कौन कह सकता? क्या उनके यहाँ जो समस्या है सस्टेनेबिलिटी की, क्या वो नहीं है? क्या पानी की समस्या वहां पर नहीं है? क्या सिर्फ हमारे को यहाँ पर दिल्ली में ये लोधी कॉलोनी के एरिया में नजर आती है? नॉट एट ऑल. आज जो विकसित भारत हो रहा है उसके साथ जो ये दुनिया की प्रॉब्लम है वो भी वहां सारी दुनिया में जा रही है, सारे कंट्री में जा रही है. एंड वी वांट यू टू रीच आउट टू पीपल अक्रॉस द कंट्री, डेवलप ideas which are good for India, because believe me, ideas which are good for India are sustainable for the rest of the world and rest of the global south. And people look to us for things which they can do, but which have a demonstrated success. कोई आदमी एक्सपेरिमेंटल ड्रग से बहुत लोग डरते हैं, लेकिन demonstrated success हो तो आगे ले जा सकता है. So that's what we count on all of you for. Please come join TERI 25th to 27th February. It's just now a month from now. Please join us. See how you need to realize. Technology, technique, ये तो होगी, AI होगा, ये सब तो है ही है. लेकिन what are we going to do about sustainability? ये planet तो हमारा एक ही है और हमारे पास नहीं है. And we need to keep it such that it's good and habitable for human habitation. So we count on all of you. Thank you very much. आप लोग सब आए. धन्यवाद. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Puri, for that power-packed address and your insightful reflections. As we approach the conclusion of the formal segment, May I now invite Mr. Sanjay Seth, Senior Director, TERI, to deliver the closing remarks. Mr. Seth has been closely associated with WSDS over the years, and his guidance has been instrumental in shaping this landmark edition. May I request Mr. Seth to kindly address the gathering?
I was thinking that we should open the floor for there.
Okay,
Let's open
And
it
then
fine.
It'll be good, because I think they may have a lot of things to reflect on.
Sure, sir.
you answer the question.
And then we can sum it up.
Fine, sir. So as
There
desired, let's open the floor for question and answers from the media representatives and other colleagues. I would request you to kindly introduce yourself and keep the questions brief so that we are able to accommodate as many questions as possible. Thank you.
Hindi, English, dono. I mean, they can.
Sir, good afternoon. This is Sanjay from World News 24/7. So we've been covering the Ministry for Environment and Forest, ma'am, and also we've been going for the Anil Agarwal dialogue. So it's all about environment and sustainability. And that this budget also has something in it. I don't know. So my question is about how do you think when we are talking the PM's vision for Viksit Bharat, so how sustainable and we will be in 2047?
This is for you. They want that from everybody.
Well, I think the whole issue of sustainability is embedded in whatever vision that has been developed, and in fact, the mission life that was touched upon in the earlier remarks, that is the vision that our Prime Minister laid before the world when he talked about mindful utilization of resources instead of mindless consumption. And that is the principle that is governing a lot of the economic decisions and economic activities that are happening in the country. And in fact, the whole thrust in this budget also, if you see, there is a whole thrust on use of natural resources that can actually, or let me say non-fossil fuel based resources that can further take forward sustainability. So there is an allocation for the carbon capture, utilization and storage. There is a good allocation for that. There is also a specific mention of green hydrogen, ramping up electric vehicles. So all of these are steps that reinforce the whole messaging that is there for the country in terms of Viksit Bharat, that sustainability and proper utilization of resources is going to be the key to power our country's growth, till such time that we become a Viksit Bharat in 2047.
Thank you. Just a question to Manjeev. Manjeev, sir. So you talked about the International Solar Alliance. So how do you correlate the ISA in today's, because
It's on. Look, I look at the ISA as something not only for India, but something which has been path-breaking. हमने यहाँ पर, we did a lot of work on solar energy. Madam's ministry and the power ministry powered this whole business. What is the problem with solar power? कि बिजली जो आती है उसका रेट बहुत हाई है. यही है बेसिक धंधा. एंड में लेट्स गेट डाउन टू ब्रास टैक्स, जिसको कहते हैं चीज ठीक होनी चाहिए और दाम वाजिब होना चाहिए. ये दो चीजें हैं, हर चीज के लिए यही होता है. वहां पर क्या था, चीज ठीक है, बिजली है, लेकिन दाम वाजिब नहीं. हाउ डू वी रिड्यूस दैट? सो व्हाट डिड वी डू? वी डिड लार्ज स्केल यूज ऑफ सोलर, go to different areas, do grid connectivity, etc. And then we were able to lower the price of solar tariff in India to a point where, in the last bids were sort of equal to what the best thermal power plants have done. But what did I say? If you do it, you sit by yourself, आप अपना काम करिएगा, कोई देखेगा तो देखेगा. It's not कि लोग नहीं notice करेंगे. लेकिन if you have an agency which is able to propel this forward, take it to people, tell them, देखिएगा क्या हो रहा है. What does it do? It helps you reach in your outreach. We were fortunate that the French collaborated because they saw merit in this for their own climate goals. कि दुनिया में emissions कम हो, we move towards this technology. They also saw geopolitics. They saw advantage in partnering India. India's global leadership role in the global south would be useful for them. That's fine. अगर अच्छे काम के लिए लोगों की अपनी motivation है, उससे फर्क क्या पड़ता? So ISA has been particularly useful for that. Let's not go into what the United States are. They have a different perspective. The president has a different perspective. It has therefore been the flagship. अब ये देखिएगा. They started off with India and France and a few countries joining. आज को 110 या 120 उसके countries members हैं. उनका जो ये ISA का यहाँ पर जो alliance होता है, वो seems like a summit out here. Everybody comes. It's been a very, very good initiative. And let me leave the final thought with you as somebody from the diplomatic world. It was India's first, and I'm glad to say successful, foray into incubating an Indian international organization.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I may add on over here, because the point which you raised, it's very important, and I'll just correlate with other activities as well. ISA, it's an international, and there are member countries. So the benefit of what India has done or what is happening in other countries, how do you bring it together? And that messaging becomes important. And ISA, it's not just solar energy, they're looking into that. Even that solar energy cannot be used for hydrogen production. So how that can be done. One of the things which, if we look at India, why our rural India hasn't developed the way it should have developed, and that is because of energy poverty. And what is happening today, decentralized energy production through solar is helping in everything. It is not just the solar pumps for irrigation. We are also looking at excess of energy. So the farmer can today decide whether he wants subsidy or through solar pumping, he's able to generate and decide which crop to grow. So when we talk of crop diversification, that is also possible because he is able to sell energy to the grid. Let's also look at where all, and Sir spoke about LABL that we launched, Light a Billion Lives. Now, initially, when the villages were not electrified, even giving them a solar lantern became important. And that changed their life, because it's not just life. It's also related to education, because then the children can actually study at night also if they have even a solar lantern. But today they all have electricity. So that is what renewable energy for livelihoods, that is what is LABL2. And you can just visualize if they have adequate energy, farmer doesn't have to sell what they are producing today, perishables, they can wait. The other is what kind of industries, even food processing. So solar dryers. So there are lots of opportunities. And when we speak of that infrastructure is yet to be built, now simply by integrating efficient building design and use of renewables, your electricity demand will be reduced substantially. And maybe Sanjay will speak about building integrated photovoltaics, that each building can become a powerhouse. So the disadvantage of India in the past, because we were a fossil fuel based economy, everything was expensive to produce. But today, because we have lots of sunlight, and therefore our production of solar and many of renewables energy is much lower than most other countries. And therefore we are competitive in the international market as well. And ISA is also playing the role of training, capacity building for various countries. So that becomes extremely important. Thank you.
TERI environment on sustainable development पे जो एक काम करने के लिए हम लोग 25-26-27 तक जो एक इन्वॉल्वमेंट कर रहा है, लेकिन अभी हम जब देखते हैं तो यहाँ पर अभी कार्बन कैप्चरिंग यूटिलाइजेशन पर जिस तरह सरकार ने बजट में रखा है, स्टोरेज एंड डेवलपमेंट पर, तो उसमें हम कैसे देखते हैं कि वो जो एक नियम बनाया गवर्नमेंट ने, उस पर 20,000 करोड़ रुपए का जो उन्होंने रखा है, आने वाले 5 साल में उसको डेवलपमेंट में खर्च करेंगे। जरूरत हमें अभी की है, लेकिन 5 साल के अंदर जो हम उसको सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट की बात करते हैं तो उसको कैसे देखते हैं?
देखिए, हर टेक्नोलॉजी के कुछ पहलू होते हैं। सबसे पहला पहलू होता है कि आपको उस पर रिसर्च करनी है, क्या ये पॉसिबल है। उस स्टेज पे होता है कि हम कितने की पड़ रही है उसकी फिक्र नहीं करते, पहली चीज है हो भी सकती है या नहीं। दूसरा होता है कि उस चीज को, जिसको हम कहते हैं टेक्नोलॉजी रेडीनेस लेवल, TRL। सो TRL में होता है कि ये चीज हो तो गई, हो जा सकती है, लेकिन इसमें लागत बहुत आ रही है, तो ये एक्सपेंसिव है। आज की स्टेज में जब मैं कार्बन कैप्चर की बात करती हूँ, वो उस स्टेज पे है, पॉसिबल है लेकिन महंगा है। उसके बाद हम जैसे कितने कंट्रीज कर रहे हैं कि कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड को जमीन में डाल रहे हैं, लेकिन हमें नहीं पता लॉन्ग रन में कितने अमाउंट के बाद क्या प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है, तो इसलिए बहुत तेज नहीं भागना है। हर कंट्री की अपनी रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं, तो दैट इज व्हाट जो सरकार का इस बजट में था, लेट्स एक्सप्लोर कौन सी टेक्नोलॉजी काम करेगी। आप कह रहे हैं आज जरूरत है, मैं मानती हूँ, लेकिन आज विकल्प इतना महंगा है कि हम उसको लार्ज स्केल के लिए नहीं कर सकते। हम ही लोग सवाल करेंगे कि ये पैसा क्या इसमें जाना चाहिए था, या हमारे पास और बड़ी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं। तो वो रिसर्च करने के बाद उसको कमर्शियलाइज, पायलट स्केलिंग एंड देन कमर्शियलाइजेशन किया जाता है।
बायोडाइवर्सिटी की बात भी आई है इस बार बजट में भी, उसमें भी लेकर कहा गया था कि हम उसको भी एक अलग से मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हब बनाएंगे या डेवलपमेंट करेंगे, SEZ बनाएंगे, तो उस पर भी क्या ये सब चीजें एनवायरनमेंट पर फोकस करती है। और इस बार पहली बार ही बजट में ये आया है कि जो IT सेक्टर का जो कल्चर, जो कचरा होता है, उसको डिसऑर्डर करने के लिए भी कोई नियम कानून नहीं है, वो इस बार भी बनाने की बात उन्होंने कही है। वो कितना सफिशिएंट है, ये टाइम से बन जाएगा?
ये सारा का सारा जो विजन की बात कर रहे हैं, जैसे अभी हम डेटा सेंटर्स की बात कर रहे हैं, तो जैसे ही हुआ कि उनमें कितनी एनर्जी कंजम्पशन होगी, तो उसके ऊपर शुरू से कि क्या प्रिकॉशंस लेनी चाहिए, तो सरकार उसमें कदम उठा रही है कि क्या करना चाहिए। देखिए, इतनी जल्दी ग्रोथ हो रही है। आज से पहले AI का नाम 5 साल पहले तो हमने सुना ही नहीं था, और अब पूरा का पूरा डेटा सेंटर्स हो रहा है। तो इट्स अ वेरी फास्ट इवॉल्विंग लैंडस्केप, तो उसके लिए तैयार होने के लिए भी थोड़ा सा टाइम लगता है। तो लेकिन स्टेप्स ठीक है या नहीं है, वो स्टेप्स ठीक है। सो हमको ये देखना है,
स्टेप्स को हम अगर लेके चलेंगे तो उसमें कुछ भी नहीं कर पाएंगे हिसाब से। तो
नहीं बिल्कुल कर रहे हैं, ये थोड़ा ना कह रहे हैं कि काम रोक दिया है। अगर हम हाइड्रोजन की बात कर रहे हैं तो हम पायलट स्केल पे भी कर रहे हैं, हम रिसर्च भी कर रहे हैं। तो आज जो चीज 10 रुपया की पड़ रही है, हो सकता है अगले 5 साल के बाद वो 2 रुपया की पड़ेगी, जैसे सोलर में हुआ है। तो दोनों चीज साइड बाय साइड चल रही है, क्योंकि हमें मार्केट भी तो क्रिएट करनी है उस प्रोडक्ट के लिए।
मैम, भारत हम कह सकते हैं कि सोलर एनर्जी में सबसे ज्यादा काम करने वाला देश बन के उभर रहा है, लेकिन सोलर प्लांट्स पे बाड़मेर और जैसलमेर, राजस्थान और कुछ इलाकों में बहुत सवाल खड़े हो रहे हैं, क्योंकि भारत की एग्रीकल्चर लैंड बेस्ड हमारी इकोनॉमी है। तो हर जगह सोलर प्लांट्स से पूरी हम कह सकते हैं कि जमीन पे लगा दिए जाएंगे, तो जो जानवर है घास खाने वाले वो कहाँ जाएंगे, और जो किसानों की जमीन है वो कहाँ जाएगी। इससे भी हम कह सकते हैं कि ज्योग्राफिकली चेंजेस आ रहे हैं बड़े स्तर पर, पेड़ पौधे नहीं उग पा रहे हैं।
नहीं, आपका सवाल बिल्कुल ठीक है, क्योंकि जो लैंड है वो लिमिटेड रिसोर्स है। तो अभी आपने शायद नाम भी सुना होगा, एग्री फोटोवोल्टाइक्स। तो अभी जो स्टडी चल रही है, स्टडी नहीं चल रही, पायलट स्केल पे हो गया। अगर आप कोची एयरपोर्ट गए होंगे, जो विच इज नॉट कनेक्टेड टू द ग्रिड, तो उनके पूरे जहां सोलर पैनल्स लगे हैं उसके नीचे वो एग्रीकल्चर कर रहे हैं। अब इसके साथ की रिसर्च और क्या चाहिए, सबसे पहले है कि मेरे पैनल कितनी हाइट पे लगने चाहिए। आपने सोलर ट्रैकर का भी नाम सुना होगा, ताकि वो पैनल्स की पोजीशन चेंज होती रहे। अभी मैंने थोड़ा सा जिक्र किया था VIPV, कि अगर हर बिल्डिंग का फसाड जो है वो फोटोवोल्टाइक हो जाएगा, तो मुझे जमीन की जरूरत नहीं है। एग्रीकल्चर फील्ड के ऊपर मैं लगा रही हूँ पैनल, तो मेरा एग्रीकल्चर जैसा है शायद उससे भी इम्प्रूव होगा, क्योंकि बहुत गर्मी से पौधे जल भी जाते हैं। तो अगर वो ऊपर पैनल होंगे तो वो पौधे को भी प्रोटेक्ट करेंगे। और साथ साथ कि कोई भी रिसर्च आइसोलेटेड नहीं है। सोलर पैनल्स, और आपने कचरे की बात करी कि जो कचरा निकलता है, तो अब रिसर्च जो है बहुत सारे पहलुओं पे साथ साथ चलती है। एक तो ये होता है क्रिटिकल मिनरल, सुना होगा कि हमारे पास मिनरल्स कहाँ से आएंगे, तो वी आर शिफ्टिंग, कि जैसे अभी हो रहा था कि सिल्वर की प्राइस क्यों बढ़ रही है, कि वो सोलर फोटोवोल्टाइक्स में यूज हो रहा है। अब एलॉय ऑफ एल्यूमिनियम इज इवन बेटर देन सिल्वर। तो वो धीरे धीरे हम देख रहे हैं कि किसको हम किससे रिप्लेस कर सकते हैं, कॉस्ट कम कर सकते हैं। दूसरा है कि उस डिजाइन से ही हाउ कैन आई रिकवर बैक, आई डोंट थ्रो इट एज कचरा, मेरे पास वो चीज, उसको रिकवर कैसे करूं, सो दैट बिकम्स द डिजाइनिंग पार्ट ऑफ इट, और द इंटायर सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी कि उसको कैसे रिसाइकिल करें। तो ये वाली चीज की तरफ हम देखते हैं। तो इसलिए जो टेक्नोलॉजी आज है, आप कंप्यूटर ही देखिए, अगर मींस ऑफ कोर्स आज से 20 साल पहले कंप्यूटर सेंटर होता था, फिर पर्सनल कंप्यूटर्स आए, और अब आपको कंप्यूटर की भी जरूरत नहीं है, आपके हाथ में फोन होता है जो सारा काम कर देता है। तो ऐसे ही सारी टेक्नोलॉजीज डेवलप हो रही हैं। जैसे जैसे हमारी जरूरत बढ़ेगी, हम ये भी देख रहे हैं कि सोलर पैनल्स की एफिशिएंसी ज्यादातर आज 20-21% है, लेकिन अब डेवलप हो चुके हैं 27-28% वाले। कुछ दिनों में वो 27-28% भी 40% हो जाएंगे। तो ऐसे टेक्नोलॉजी होती जाएगी, जरूरतें जैसे जैसे बढ़ेंगी, हम लोग कम से ज्यादा उत्पाद कर पाएंगे।
मैम एक और सवाल, जैसे कि इंडिया ने G20 को ऑर्गेनाइज करा और पूरे वर्ल्ड में एक नया मैसेज गया भारत की तरफ से, ब्रिक्स। G20 और ब्रिक्स का जो एजेंडा है और जो भारत का नैरेटिव है वर्ल्ड के लिए, तो ये जो समिट हो रही है वो उसको हासिल करने में किस तरीके से कामयाब हो पाएगी?
I'll pass it on to Ambassador Puri because
AI समिट की बात कर रहे हैं आप? ब्रिक्स। देखिए, let me stand here because I can't see him and can't see. Shita, you just sit, don't worry. देखिए, मैं ये आपने बहुत अहम सवाल किया और बहुत धन्यवाद कि आपने इसके बारे में बात किया, क्योंकि हमारे डीजी ने भी ये मेंशन किया था। आज ब्रिक्स जो है सिर्फ भारत, रशिया, इंडिया, चाइना और साउथ अफ्रीका नहीं, 5 और कंट्रीज हैं। और जब हम इस सबको टोटल करें तो ये करीब 40-45% ग्लोबल जीडीपी और इतना ही, इससे भी ज्यादा, बहुत ज्यादा नंबर पॉपुलेशन में टोटल आता है। सो ये कंट्रीज सिर्फ आपस में नहीं है, ये एक लीडरशिप इन अ सेंस है ऑफ द ग्लोबल साउथ जो सब लोगों को चाहिए। हमारा मानना है, और हम तो बहुत स्ट्रांग है इसमें, कि जो ब्रिक्स कंट्रीज हैं इनमें बहुत जबरदस्त क्षमता है लीडरशिप ऑन सस्टेनेबिलिटी, ऑन रिजिलियंस, ऑन क्लाइमेट चेंज, ऑन एनर्जी ट्रांजिशन, जो अगर हम लोग यहाँ पर उस पर एकत्रित हों, एग्री करें, तो हम ग्लोबली मल्टीलैटरल सिस्टम्स में भी उसको पुश कर सकते हैं। अमेरिका के व्यू अलग है और लोगों का व्यू कई डिफरेंट है, लेकिन अगर आप साथ आए तो आपको नेगोशिएशंस में फायदा होता है। यू आर एबल टू पुश पर्सपेक्टिव्स, यू आर एबल टू गेट ग्लोबल कोलैबोरेशन, और साथ साथ अगर आप टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलप करें, एक एक्शन पॉइंट इस पे रखें, तो ये तो बी वेरी बिग। सो आपने बहुत सही कहा और बहुत सही संकेत दिया कि इस बार जो हमारा WSDS हो रहा है, इट इज इन द ईयर इन विच इंडिया विल चेयर द ब्रिक्स, और ब्रिक्स समिट यहाँ पर होगा। तो हम लोग इसकी तरफ संकेत कर रहे हैं, नहीं बिल्कुल कर रहे हैं, और ये हमारे लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट संकेत है कि हम इंडिया को इस चीज में, ब्रिक्स में भी, जिसको कहते हैं एक लीडरशिप, वी वांट ब्रिक्स टू टेक लीडरशिप एंड इंडिया विद इन ब्रिक्स टू गिव दैट सेगवे, जिसको कहते हैं स्टीयरेज, कि आप इस तरफ जाइएगा, ये दुनिया को चाहिए, ये ग्लोबल साउथ को चाहिए। थैंक यू। तो सब ऐसा है, एवरीबॉडी हैज अ राइट टू प्ले देयर ओन थिंग, लेकिन आपको वो करना चाहिए जो आपके हित में है। और मैंने जैसे आपको कहा 50% ग्लोबल जीडीपी और 60-70% ग्लोबल पॉपुलेशन के जो हित में है, वो चीजें तो करनी चाहिए ना। दूसरा आदमी करे भाई, जो अपनी उसका व्यू है, वो हम उसके बारे में क्या कह सकते हैं, लेकिन आपको जो करना तो जरूर करिएगा। याद रखिएगा, अगर आप नहीं करेंगे तो समय नहीं रुकता, ना ये प्लानिटरी चेंजेस जो हो रही हैं ये नहीं रुकती, और कुछ साल के बाद यही जो एक्शन है अगर आप बाद में लें, सिर्फ एक्सपेंसिव ही नहीं होगा, उसको करना भी शायद बहुत मुश्किल हो जाए। इसलिए टाइमली एक्शन इज इम्पोर्टेंट, और ये चीज हमारे लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है, बिल्कुल इम्पोर्टेंट है, इसलिए हमको करना चाहिए।
If I may just add to the point that he has made, you asked about the outcomes of G20 and how it relates to this summit. G20 के बाद, the Green Development Pact was essentially a component of the New Delhi Leaders' Declaration. And green development is at the core of the summit's session, the WSDS sessions, because we talk about green manufacturing and trade, we talk about future technology, we talk about transformations through nature. So all of these are actually intrinsically a part of Green Development Pact. Therefore, it takes forward the G20 outcomes in a very big way, the Silver Jubilee edition of WSDS.
I have, if I can ask a question to Mr. Seth. Can I just quickly, while at the ISIS summit, the power minister that time, so I had in fact asked him that long back these two are solar cookers, and solar cookers doesn't need anything. They just need natural sunlight and some technology. So I was traveling to Gujarat, and Gujarat is using a solar torch. Because electrification pura India mein nahi hai. So people, there, if you're in a pilgrimage or something, so there are a lot of solar torches. So I was just wondering, about photovoltaic, when you're going to tell us. So can we not have NDMC in Delhi at Jantar Mantar a few years back? They had put up all those photovoltaic cells where the cars were being parked. They were trying to create something, but gradually they dismantled the whole system. So the EV energy, we've spoken to Mr. Puri and everybody, the EVs in US and all, they are what we are putting the charging stations, so they're not working. So the whole thing, we are going to, means I see 2047 that we're going to be free of all this EV. How do you say it, sir? Can we not go more solar and deeper into it?
No, so, like it has already been asked, this question has been addressed about how we brought down the costs of electricity generation using solar technologies. And, you talked about charging stations and all of that. So everything has to be looked in the entirety, the ecosystem has to work. If you need to charge your batteries through using solar generation, you should have charge point stations, you should have charging stations, you should have charge point operators to make sure that they are maintained well and they work throughout the. So all of this thing is being looked at its entirety. If you look at the system that is being created in India. Remember one more thing, that many of you talked about solar. We also have the power of aggregation of demand. That's the population that we have. We can bring down the prices through aggregation of demand, and that has worked well as far as new technologies are concerned. And again, what the summit is going to look at is about, and also what was announced in the budget, recent budget, a lot of focus on green manufacturing. Now, obviously, when the new technologies come, they are at a higher price. And how through aggregation of demand, you can bring down these prices so that they can become affordable, because this is a price sensitive market where everyone needs to make sure that there is a greater uptake or scale up of such technology. So that is one. You talked about the BIPV, and Madam talked about BIPV, and she wanted me to reflect something. And I think you talked about the land ko hum kaise na use kare for solar generation. Nai technologies hain, BIPV is a cross-cutting technology, but uska cost high hai. How do you make sure every building facade can be converted into a powerhouse? We have the Pradhan Mantri Solar Rooftop Program, it is a very successful program, and how every household, every rooftop is being used for solar generation. At the same time, आप ये देखिए कि आपकी जो country है, एक solar, we are a tropical country. अगर आप solar ऊपर अपनी rooftop पे provide करते हैं, तो आप shading provide करते हैं. आपकी heat ingress into any building जो होती है, वो roof से होती है. Maximum heat ingress जो है, absorption जो होती है, वो roof से होती है. So अगर वो roof, if it is shaded, then you are obviously making sure that आपकी air conditioning costs या cooling costs या comfort levels बढ़ाने के लिए जो भी आपको technology चाहिए, उसकी cost कम हो, उसकी लागत कम हो. So I think there is a sense in whatever we are doing ये 25th edition of WSDS इसके लिए हम सब यहाँ एकत्रित हुए हैं. I think it's a landmark event, not only because ये Silver Jubilee हमारा TERI का event है, but also आप देखिए जो लिखा हुआ है, transformation की बात कर रहे हैं, and we are whether it is विकसित भारत or it is 2070. And जब भी आप transformation की बात करते हैं, तो सबसे पहले चीज क्या आती है? परिवर्तन की जब आप बात करते हैं, voices, या देखिए voices, very important, है ना? You're talking of vision, voices, कि आपका vision क्या है उस transformation के लिए? उसके लिए आपकी आवाज क्या है? And also values. I think all of them are captured very well in the thematic around the theme under which this entire WSDS is being curated. So there is a lot that needs to be seen. Let's keep it under wraps. आप लोग आइए. I think through you all, the message should go around to the larger audience, to the global fraternity as well. कि आप लोग आइए, witness what happens in the WSDS. And I think there will be key takeaways and key outcomes which will really help us to envision that transformation that one is aspiring for.
Thank you so much.
3 दिन का जो रिपोर्ट निकलेगा, व्हाइट पेपर निकलेगा, या आप सबमिट रिपोर्ट करेंगे तो गवर्नमेंट को एक्सेप्ट करेंगे, उसमें गवर्नमेंट को देंगे रिपोर्ट बना के, या वर्ल्ड लेवल पर क्या रिपोर्ट आपकी जाएगी वहां पर, किस तरीके?
हमारे इस पूरे के पूरे इवेंट में गवर्नमेंट बहुत अच्छा साझेदार है हमारे साथ. मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट एंड फॉरेस्ट, और जो हिम कनेक्ट की बात कर रहे हैं उसमें वो हमारे साथ हैं. बहुत सारे मिनिस्टर आएंगे, तो एक तरह से उनके व्यूज भी हम सुनेंगे. MNRE जो हमारा LABL2 है, उसमें MNRE हमारा पार्टनर है उसको लॉन्च करने में. तो इसलिए जब हम सरकार की बात करते हैं तो एक तरह इट इज वी एग्री विद ईच अदर, हम एक दूसरे की सहमति के साथ आगे बढ़ रहे हैं. और रादर जो हम रिपोर्ट, हमारी हर सेशन की रिपोर्ट होती है तो वो हम रेलेवेंट लोगों को भेजते हैं, इन एडिशन टू जो पूरा का पूरा अल्टीमेटली सिंथेसिस रिपोर्ट आएगी. तो सरकार उसको काफी सीरियसली लेती है, both at national level and at international level.
Thank you so much. We obviously do have time for informal interactions once we open the floor for lunch, etc. Right now, I would like to thank all of you for your engaging questions and participation. And as promised, I would like to invite Mr. Sanjay Seth, Senior Director, TERI, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Well, I think this has been very productive. There has been, we have given you an insight as to what the WSDS, the 25th edition, is going to look like. There has been cross-fertilization of ideas that we have discussed. And all I can say is that we all need to innovate to act for a climate resilient world. And this is what the platform is going to really serve. I once again thank you all for coming here, for having the patience of listening to all our esteemed speakers. And through you, once again, reach out to the global fraternity as well as to all that are concerned to come and witness what is going to be seen during what, at the WSDS 25. 25th, 26th, 27th of this month, Seth, 20 दिन रह गए हैं at Taj Palace Hotel. So, you are all invited, and let's keep our fingers crossed that it is going to be one of the most successful events that we are going to witness as far as sustainable development is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your closing remarks, Mr. Seth. On behalf of TERI, I would like to thank all our distinguished speakers, members of the media, and guests for joining us today and for your continued interest in the World Sustainable Development Summit. We now invite you to join us for lunch, which will be served outside, and we look forward to welcoming you again at WSDS 2026 from 25th to 27th February 2026. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead.